I call the meeting of the March 19th, 2019 Airport Authority meeting order. First order of business is approval of the Airport Authority minutes of February 11th. I think they're in your package.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes, certify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes approved. Update on the East Side construction project at the airport. I'll do that. Vince and I both attended the meeting last Wednesday. They have a construction meeting every Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock. Bill was there too. They're kind of at they've kind of been in a holding pattern for the last week and so to get the drainage solved. I think I was out there Monday and there were trucks. It was like almost like there were trucks queued up doing asphalt. I think they're doing asphalt pretty seriously now.
Same today, I was out there this morning.
It started yesterday.
They're laying a lot of asphalt, they're keeping 5 trucks lined up all the time.
Okay. So anyway, my sense of it is they'll be through by the 1st of May, probably on schedule. Utilities are on track, drainage, everything seems to be working out the way. I've not seen a change order yet either, so I feel pretty good about that. Anything else, Bill? You want to add anything? Okay.
What final date do we have out there?
I don't know that. I think it's May 1st. It's 180 days.
Yeah, it's either April 1st or May 1st.
April 12th, finish date.
April 12th?
April 12th.
Completion.
They probably have 4 or 5 weather days, but they seem pretty confident that they'll be finished in the time allotted.
Good.
The majority of the utilities are in the sewer part, they're getting done now. So we'll be down just asphalt here in another week.
And that goes
Or
pretty
what's left
quickly.
of
Yeah,
that.
that goes pretty quickly. So certainly by the 1st of May, it'll be
It's looking
finished.
good.
Yeah, it does look good. Update on the responses received from the notice of availability for the hangar ground leases. The first date is this Friday, if you will, as far as when the first round, and that gives a window between March 29th and maybe April 15th to get the actual responses in. It has been advertised in I guess in the Mobile Press Register.
Yes, that's right. 2 weeks.
And I sent out about 35 individual, packages, if you will, to folks, alerting them to the availability, notice of availability of people that I had over time had accumulated their email addresses.
We put it out on the Facebook site.
And it's on the Facebook site, so we've done a pretty good job of getting it out there.
Mr. Chairman,
Did you see the article in Lanyap?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I'm not sure I did see the article. Yes, sir.
when we approved the minutes, this was for the last regularly scheduled meeting, and there was a special meeting in between that meeting and today, correct?
No, the special meeting was in January.
Okay, when was the,
It was January 6th.
The last one was moved up earlier.
There were 2 meetings in January. One was on the special meeting
okay,
on the,
But the February meeting was moved up earlier than the
moved up earlier
third
so we could
Tuesday.
approve the contractor.
oh, that's what it was, okay.
That's why I
So
was
there
early.
were 2 meetings in January, one January 6th and one the regular meeting. The January 6th meeting was the special one where we discussed
Okay.
those availability.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments on the notice of availability?
Have we received anything yet?
I have not received anything. I've gotten some texts, because I'm interested, but I have not received anything.
Okay.
Okay, the next item, number 4, is recently we've had a couple inquiries about development of new hangar spaces on the west side, specifically T hangars and a 60 by 60 foot hangar in front of the public safety hangar. And Hank and I went out and looked at it the other day with a potential developer, and I just, there really are 2 places on the west side. One in front of the public safety hangar, and then another one about 300 yards down the the taxiway, on the abandoned taxiway right there on the nearest the fence. You know where I'm,
Yeah, but is it close to, if
It's
it's
da-
in the middle, it's pretty low down there.
but it's past there, it's going,
Okay.
you know, not in the middle. I think the potential developer would have drainage.
Drainage
issues.
problems, but
So
it's
we
up
pointed
where
out,
it goes
but-
back
But
up.
it goes back up, and you could build 7 to 8 really nice T-hangers right along that, you know,
Mhm.
past where it goes up, and you wouldn't have any drainage problems. I'm not sure, you know, I've not seen a proposal from anybody about either, well, we have seen one for the public, in front of the public safety.
Mhm.
The T-hangers, talking about, how close to the old run-up area would that be down there, do you know? You know, with the asphalt jots out there on,
That's higher spot. The big issue I'd see if someone wanted to develop that is getting utilities out there. It's gonna be an expense. And we can have a road cut from Highway 98 as
No,
far
I
as
thought they would just
access?
access through that gate. I mean, you go through the gate and go up the taxiway,
The old
the old
taxiway?
taxiway.
we'd have to officially abandon that. don't
I think
we
it,
have
I
yet.
think it is officially abandoned. Yeah, I think it's officially abandoned.
So it could be considered a road now.
We consider it a road. It's not in great shape, but I think it would, if somebody wants to build a T-hanger, it would be a great use of that land.
I agree.
And I think you could put 6 or 8 T-hangers there pretty quickly, pretty easily too. Any other thoughts?
Well, it still shows it as an active taxiway on the taxi diagrams. It doesn't show it,
I think it's pretty
Yes.
easily abandoned.
it's abandoned. We'd have to notam it closed.
And who are you thinking about, who's gonna build it, who's gonna
Yeah, they're
pay
still
for it?
active,
You know,
yeah.
who's gonna lease it, and who's gonna,
That doesn't even run anywhere near that.
what do y'all,
Where we
You're
are
talking
now
about right
Is we have a firm,
here.
somebody's really interested in building a 60 by 60 hanger in front of the public safety.
oh, a one hanger?
One hanger, okay? And then we have proposals, and I'll let, during our other business, we'll let, Don, if you're willing to talk. Don, you want to discuss what you're interested in doing?
Sure. My name is Don Lagarde, and I'm a local resident here in Fairhope. I'm also a private pilot, hey, Chip. And Joe and the engineer, Hank, and I went out there last week to the area to look at this area in front of the state police hangar. And you could configure that a couple of ways. I'm thinking about two T hangars with the doors facing north, 2 T hangars backing up to that with the doors facing south. And then we went down that, what could be the abandoned taxiway, went south of the AWAS station and got out of that dip. And Joe's right, you can have 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 box hangars going up that hill going south. A couple of opportunities for road access is maybe potentially use that old taxiway as the road, and/or maybe even come in through the road that would tee down Seeger's Industries, I'll call it, and maybe continue that, which is a dead end, just west of the woods right there, and that's another option. So I'm putting together an investment team, and I've got some quotes coming from Chemco and some other commercial metal building contractors, and I should have 3 or 4 quotes in hand by the next week and a half.
Jack, you have
Good.
a thought?
I was just, so if you build these T-hangers, who's gonna lease them and who's gonna be under control of them? We have a contract with Continental Motors on that west side. How does that,
No, actually, that's excluded from Continental.
it's in land that's excluded?
So
Okay.
we would just, the way I envision it being is we charge them,
Land
27
lease.
cents a ground lease for whatever they do, and they can make it work for them as best they can. And we'll get new T-hangers and hopefully new customers to the airport, new planes, that they'll buy gas.
Is that something we need to bid out?
Well, bid out,
they're,
regards to that space, how big is it? The one in front of the public safety hangar?
that's 100 feet by 80 feet.
And does it fall under the same minimum standards as what you published for the new eastern side, or is that a different grouping?
I don't think we originally, I mean, we certainly didn't envision anybody wanting the public safety, that space when we did the east side. I was thinking that we would charge the same ground lease. You know, we're, as an authority, we would be, I mean, all we want to do is lease the land, so we don't care. We would like the best use of the land to be either hangars or T-hangars, so we would get the same amount for the,
So has there been, or will there be a bid process to put a hangar there?
I guess, I mean,
I
that,
think if you have limited space, you're gonna have to. I mean, you got
And what's the
limited space and more than one.
possibility in that same area of putting
You have to.
a corporate type fuel farm or fuel tank?
very little possibility,
Reason being,
because we've decided to cluster the fuel farms on, the new fuel farms on the east side.
That was my next question, was were they gonna allow a fuel farm on the west side?
and with regard to the clustering of the fuel, you're talking about putting them all together as opposed to in front of or next to individual hangars?
Our,
Yep.
yes, our vision is to have all the new fuel farms, to have them cluster on the east side. And there, in the notice of availability, there were 2 that were available for basically the public could get.
Has there been any discussion about the accessibility of that? If you got 3 or 4 guys waiting in line to use their own fuel, would that not be a problem?
I think our vision was to do it with fuel trucks, with a truck. If you had your own fuel farm.
So if we had a fuel truck on the west side, would that still work?
Yeah, I mean, Chip, I'm
I
not,
mean, it's-
Does that fall, I know you said we're not gonna have any more fuel farms on the west, but how about having a fuel truck?
That's what I was thinking.
so we,
It's not excluded, because I did it up until a year ago for someone else.
That's what I'm saying, it is not considered a fuel farm, a truck is a separate entity.
so where would you fill the fuel truck farm?
If I built a hangar
Yes, sir.
on that pad in front of the public safety hangar, and
Okay.
had a fuel truck that I filled from a tanker, were you saying that's a possibility?
I mean, that's a new, I'd have to think about it. We don't, I mean, that's
I mean, I
fine.
know I did it at that airport for a while.
But that was pending the completion of the
Correct.
fuel farm that they wanted, yeah.
Correct. We're just looking at options, thinking of building a hangar and,
I mean, I think on that area in front of the public safety hangar, I don't think, you couldn't build much of a hangar if you put a fuel farm up there.
no, that's what I'm asking.
I mean, there's not- I don't see any-
You built an 80 by 80 hangar with a fuel truck there. I mean, does the airport board really care as long as you're getting your 7 cents a gallon or whatever it is?
Yeah, I think we
And-
do
and
care.
Safety regulations are followed.
Well, I mean, you know, when you design a fuel farm, I mean, you drive the truck in there and you have all this concrete stuff, which is your
Right.
catchment, whatever, you would design all that and have a catch basin to,
No, I'm talking about just a fuel truck.
He's talking about buying fuel off the airport somewhere and then bringing it
Oh.
onto the
No,
airport
you have
with
the
a truck.
tanker brings it to you.
The current fuel
You're
trucks
talking
have
about
no
trucks,
catch
truck
basin either.
refueling,
Correct.
which leaves you no safety features.
You know, we definitely have to consider that, because every time we allow another fuel farm, you're watering down the value of the FBO on the west side, and, you know, we collect lease money for that, and I think that, you know, we need to do our due diligence to make sure that we're doing right by our tenant as well.
I think so.
so,
But that's not saying you just picking a side, it means we need to do our due diligence. I think this is a little premature right now to try to figure out what we're gonna do in this meeting,
No, we- you know, I mean,
with
we've-
respect to how we're gonna lease that out. We need some more.
we've never
definitely some
had
more
interest in
discussion.
that area before in the 10 years I've been on the board, so it's good to have interest
In which area is that? I'm sorry.
on front of the public safety hangar and on the,
That's just one of many areas. It's
Yeah.
one that I have to look at today and think, yeah, we could go there.
yeah. So anyway, we,
Yeah.
I mean, why don't we do this? Why don't we, you know, obviously table this?
That's, my big
And-
question is, how vested are you in Continental or whatever FBO functioning as opposed to me paying ground lease or the airplane owner paying ground lease?
I don't
Is there
think-
gonna be
I
a
don't think this is
problem
the way to
there?
have this discussion.
We obviously wanna buy fuel as most efficiently as we can. If we can put it into a truck for $2 a gallon as opposed to $6 to Continental, it's a huge savings over the year.
And then we don't want a dozen trucks scattered all over the airport either.
Yeah,
I mean, I
on
think
the
it's
table
something we
this
need
and
to,
move on.
yeah, I think something we need to discuss because we haven't been approached on that before.
Yeah.
So obviously, there's more than, sounds like there's interest.
There is interest. We have interest in building a hangar, but I'm not sure we have interest in joining a conglomeration fuel farm either.
Right.
It just seems like it could be a logistical nightmare down there. If you got 4 jets trying to get fuel, but you're saying that's into a truck and then into the airplane?
Yeah, it's not going to be accessible by taxiway to where the fuel farm's going to be.
So we would have to have a truck anyway.
I guess the following question, why is the new fuel farm adjacent to the taxiway if there is no fueling? If that's the case, couldn't we move it away and put another box hangar there?
Well, we moved it from where it was because we thought aesthetically, we think it's better kind of off-site.
Right, but you understand what I'm saying? It's adjacent to the ramp. However, you're not going to fuel an aircraft directly. Why not just put it away from the ramp and use that as another box hangar as real estate? And then-
We have to build a road to it. And we didn't
Well,
have,
right, but there is adjacent property to the existing roads.
yeah, but we moved it in our January 6th meeting. It was in front of the road when we came in. We thought that was aesthetically
Right.
not the best place for it to be. So we moved it over to the corner.
But, I mean, to piggyback on Travis's point, you're gonna have a tank next to a taxiway, but then you're gonna have to have an additional truck to move it instead of just fueling directly from your tank.
But we don't want to have a truck on the west side. We want 6 trucks on the east side.
Well, they're not going to be that, I think there's room for 4 fuel farms, and that'll be it.
But
So
back to
you
Travis's
still have to have a
point.
truck though.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to call point of order. Let's get back to the meeting. This is not a public hearing.
Now, let's move on. We'll have discussions and we'll table it. I like concrete proposals. I mean, that would, something we can look at, okay? So we've had a discussion of of 3. So, lessons learned from the presidential invitational fly-in. My big lesson is we need to do better coordination. I think it was relatively successful, but we need to, I mean, you need to send out, more people need to know in a blanket way what's going on, and we need to have answers about.
Well, I mean, yeah, like NOTAM was filed, no one ever knew
No one
anything
knew about
about it.
it, yeah.
So it was, yeah.
But I think it was a good event, we just need to have better coordination. Okay. Number 6, follow up on the city's ordinance, the North Overlay District. I think it was a pretty good discussion in the minutes about that.
Who is going to be acting for Wayne Davis once he leaves for his new
I
position?
don't know. It might be Buford King until someone else is hired.
Okay, well, we do have a pretty good next steps outlined there. So I'm willing to make contact with whoever is acting in his stead.
Yeah, I would, you might want to contact the mayor and ask her who the contact would be for that.
Okay, will do.
Okay. Item 7, I'm sorry to, just a lot of housekeeping. Annual review of insurance. Right now, we have 3 insurance policies: directors and officers liability, $4 million of D&O insurance. We have specialized airline insurance for basically what I call hangar keepers. And then we have property and casualty for all the, about 600,000 square feet of buildings that we own out there. So the new number is $38,835 for this year. That's about $2,000, almost $3,000 more than it was last year. Some of that is because they did resurvey the buildings, but some of that's just probably just an increase in insurance rates.
Joe, why do we have hangar keepers? If Continental's got the lease on all the hangars, they should have the hangar keepers.
I don't know. I mean, we've always had that, yes.
Well, we used to
I
have.
think that's
we
a
used to
question to
have-
ask, though.
Yeah, we need to ask insurance, because we used to have leases for hangars, but we turned that over to Continental in that last lease, so we don't need hangar keepers.
Well, 4 5 years ago, great question. I don't know the answer to that. And I don't know what, I'm not sure I even understand what hangar keepers actually covers other than,
If you own an FBO and you back somebody's $1.5 million jet into the building, it'll fix it for you.
but if the hangar
Personal experience.
burns down, if the hangar burns down or something like that, wouldn't that
Property
be?
and casualty.
Yeah, but what about the
Hangar
planes?
keepers is for damage. If we damage somebody's plane moving it in and out of the hangar, which we aren't touching. So we really don't need hangars keepers.
Okay.
Property casualty, if it caught on fire, it's gonna be
Or-
whoever started the fire, or if it's undetermined, we've got property.
Or wind
casualty.
damage, which Will sent that, sent the, those pictures of weed and fill. We have replacement coverage, 5% wind deductible, but, so that would it'd be a big number if we lost all the hangars.
But that's still in our property.
That's our
Casualty is
property,
not in
yeah.
hangar keepers. Hangar keepers only if we're moving planes, Continental moving planes in, not every day they have hangar keepers. They damage a plane, it'll fix it. Just like garage keepers for a mechanic on a car.
I don't know the answer to this. Let me coordinate.
We need to ask.
Let me coordinate with our insurance person and Continentals and make sure that we don't have duplicate coverage, okay?
Because right now, if Continental damages a plane in the north hangar,
Yeah.
Continental has
I agree.
hangar
I
keepers
agree.
insurance to cover it.
As a side note, you follow all those, they had insurance to cover all those hangars. But a lot of people, and this is from Dr. Egerton, a lot of airports don't have adequate hangar insurance. People are starting to look at that now and realize
Well, I
that they
looked
need
at
to have
what-
adequate coverage.
We have replacement coverage,
So,
not actual, so that's good. And we have a 5% deductible. That 5% would be a big chunk of change for us, but
Yeah.
I think we have as good of insurance as far as property and casualty as we can get.
This hangar keepers is like renter's insurance for us. We've got the building covered, they've got the inside.
Of all the
covered, whatever
insurances,
we-
it's only $1,300, but I mean, if we don't need it, we don't need it.
Right.
The property and casualty is $23,000.
That's the one we need.
Yeah. And the
This is
directors
the
and
other way around.
the directors and officers is $14,000.
Do we need a motion for that? And do we need,
Yeah, I'd like-
do we need to somehow make the motion to give you the authority to determine whether or not we need to?
We need a motion to approve the insurance coverage for the year, and with the idea that we review whether we need hangar keepers.
Well, I was just going to say, if we went ahead and gave you the authority to eliminate it, if we don't need it, we don't have to come back and approve it again.
Okay, that would be good.
I'll make a motion that we approve the airport authority's insurance and authorize airport chairman to determine, along with our insurance agents, whether or not we need the airline insurance.
I second.
Hangar
Hangar
keepers.
Hangar keepers.
I thought you called it airline insurance.
I call it aviation insurance, but hangar.
Oh, aviation, okay. I think you said airlines, what we're having.
I second.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor of Jack's proposal, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank y'all. Pam, do you want to do the approval of the Aviation Academy as a safe place for the city of Fairhope?
We had a meeting at the Aviation Academy. The Academy Director, John Saraceno, Fairhope Emergency Management Director, a gentleman from the Baldwin Board of Education, and Joe and myself. And Mr. Saraceno would like for the city to be able to use the Aviation Academy as a safe place for the city employees during an emergency. And he was talking about approximately 75 to 85 employees, but if you'd like to come up and
John, why
address
don't you
it
come
all,
and speak? John, why don't you
please do.
introduce yourself? And
I think everyone here knows me except a couple. I'm John Saraceno, I work for city, work on emergency management at the fire stations. And I think most of y'all know me. How y'all doing tonight?
Good.
Hey, John.
Good. How you doing, sir? So what it is,
He cooks food on the side too.
sir?
Cooks food on
Yeah,
the side
cook a
too.
little food too. What it is for the city to respond quickly and efficiently, we need to have critical, I call them, I name the group critical essential employees. And critical essential employees, their job is to be there immediately post-storm and with all their equipment staged in one area. Their job is to go out on the roads and open up we have specific roads that are designated, main roads coming in and out of the city, to open up all the roads and get all the roads open so regular employees can come to work and we can all get around, our emergency services can get around. In addition to the electric department, if Thomas Hospital goes down, they immediately, go put Thomas Hospital back online. But what we don't have is we don't have a shelter that meets FEMA or ICC guidelines to do this. So I started pursuing last year, right after hurricane season, the Hampton Inn up the street here. And everything was going good, it looked like we had it, and then at the very last minute, they told me, well, we can't guarantee that we're gonna be there for you to use it. So, I need a guarantee, so that blew that out of the water. So I started asking around, and we found out y'all's building's rated for like 150 miles an hour wind, is that correct?
I thought it was 160.
160, 150, but that's the best we have. Although it doesn't meet the standard, it's better than anything else. So based on that, I want to see if we could go ahead and use that in the event that we have a major storm threatening us, so the employees are ready to open everything up and make everything safe again.
We would lock the labs, and they would use the classrooms in the hall.
As sort of an emergency headquarters?
Yes, sir. It would be basically if we were under mandatory evacuations, the critical essentials, there'd be anywhere from 70, right now I'm at 70, but we could go up a little bit, but it's not gonna be much, maybe 10 more people. They would spend the night here, or there. They would come, they would be in the building as soon as tropical storm force winds start making landfall, and they would stay until tropical storm force winds subside. They would immediately take their stage vehicles out there and hit the road, start opening up all the roads, so the emergency vehicles can get around, everyone get back to work, and we can all be safe around town. The first thing that has to be done post-storm.
Didn't you say the city is looking at plans to build a structure down the road that would meet the guidelines?
Right now, they're talking about doing a multi-purpose facility that could be used for something else throughout the year, that they double up as a shelter later, and it's just talk right now, and they're looking into it.
What are those guidelines, John?
I think it's 165. I can't, don't quote me, it's 165 or 175. For those of y'all who don't know, we used to have shelter. Fairhope High School used to be a shelter. It does not meet the wind load, and FEMA has really tightened up on the guidelines and the ICC. And if it doesn't meet the wind load, they're not even allowed to be a shelter anymore.
I think this is a great idea, but you do know the K-6 school we're building has a tornado shelter in it. And all of those schools that we're building now have tornado shelters in them. So that'd be
that's a great
best
option
spot.
for the future.
Yeah.
When will that be complete?
About 18 months.
Yeah, that's a
Just
great
be a
option
good
for the future.
but all the schools that are being built now have tornado shelter in them.
How many people can they hold?
They can cram everybody in that school in there.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
a
yeah,
bunch.
that's an awesome opportunity for us maybe in the future. But we need to
I think
have,
this
we
is a
need
great
to have
idea
that
for now,
place.
but you can have a certified shelter right there at the new K-6 center here in 18 months.
Oh, yeah, that's an awesome idea. And to give you a little history behind this, it used to be, over the years, all the employees and their families went and stayed at the Civic Center. Huge liability. That Civic Center's not safe. You have a major storm come in, it's gone. I mean, the roof's gone. I mean, that's the first thing that's going to go on. It is not a safe structure. It doesn't meet any guidelines. And it really, liability to the city. You can't require your employees to come stay somewhere that's not safe. And they're going to be required to stay in this facility to be ready to respond post-storm. And you can't really require that if you don't have a safe facility for them.
They're going up all over the county. Got one in Foley, one in Orange Beach, one here in Fairhope, one in Belfast.
That's great. That's great. We'll probably have another shelter that may be a shelter they use here locally for citizens. Because usually school districts cooperate with Baldwin County EMA, and they have those shelters set up just like.
But you need to check the school board.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
and that brings up the next point is, you can ask the airport authority to use the aviation academy, but don't you need some other permissions from the school board as well?
I'm in the process. We've already had a meeting with them, and
Okay.
they're in the process of doing the same thing that we're trying to do here. And the plans are to do an MOU that everyone's satisfied with, and just do it all correct and make sure everything's laid out there and everyone knows what's going on.
In the meeting, the school board was represented.
Yeah.
They were supportive, as was the Coastal Alabama Community College. And we'll consummate this with some type of MOU between
Okay,
the parties.
all right, good.
And you'll originate the MOU?
Well, again, when the school board contacts me and gives me their tentative approval, then maybe we need to have another meeting and decide who wants to write the MOU. The school board may want to do it. Our city attorney, we're just going to play it by ear when that gets to that
Yes.
point.
So really, we're not really approving the request right now. We just kind of are,
The go-ahead
in
to-
principle, giving you the go-ahead to write the MOU, and we'll have to formally approve the MOU, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
All right, well, that's, okay. So, we had a general discussion, we'll, you get with the school board and bring us back an MOU, and we'll bring it back to the board, but my sense of it's the spirit of is to move forward with it.
Right, I'm waiting to hear on Anthony Sampson right now, and I'm not doing anything till I hear from them.
And we'll have it
Right.
reviewed by our attorney.
Yeah,
Right.
all right, thanks, John, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Good to see you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Y'all have a great evening.
You too.
See you later.
The next item is just, in the past, I've just approved this or renewed the contract, but we have every year, we have an annual renewal with it's now called DBT Transportation, and it's the maintenance and upgrades for our AWAS. And they come out 3 times a year, and it's almost $5,000. So what I'd like to do is y'all formally approve entering into the maintenance agreement with DBT Transportation.
Have they replaced that sound card?
They have not, but I talked to the gentleman today, that he's coming out for his triennial visit every 3 times a year in April, and he will bring us a sound card at that point in time, okay? For free. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but he found us a sound card.
Where are they out of?
They're out of Denver, but their technicians are in North Carolina. They used to be in North Carolina, North Carolina and New Orleans, so we got a little better service.
How long has this sound card been out?
Pretty good while.
About 5 months.
How much of an issue has that been?
That's just for phone calls, to call and check the weather.
Joe, you and I talked about the sound card, and it's not required. I believe you said the phone bill was about $80 a month.
Yeah.
Taking out the sound card would save about $1,000 a month. Would it also save on the service contract if we remove that sound card? Because that may be a big expense since it's no longer, it's not required.
Well, I didn't want to replace it because it is $3,000 to replace it, so
But
I don't
weren't-
think.
didn't someone offer you one
Yeah, we've got one coming for
free?
free. Yeah.
Free.
Good price.
I'd
Yeah,
like
but the
to-
1,000 a
I'd
month,
like
not
to-
necessarily.
I've already got the guy engaged, so I'd like to just go ahead and do it.
Okay.
If we can do it, it'll lower
In the
it.
future, that may be a cost savings next
I
year. If we
agree with that.
eliminate that and the phone plan and the service, we may save about $2,000 a year.
What's this a year, did you say?
The maintenance is about $4,950.
And are there any other companies that provide this type of maintenance?
Nothing I know of. Not that I know. This is the company that we bought the AWAS from, and they were somebody else now. They were Tronclair Communications, and now they're DBT Transportation. And Josh had some comments on the contract.
Joe asked me to review the contract. There were some provisions in there that really didn't have anything to do substantively with the services provided, just things like indemnification clauses. I would never recommend the authority indemnify anyone for anything if we're not absolutely required to. There was a limitation of warranties clause that I crossed out, and there was a provision regarding confidentiality where I simply added some language that in effect said we're a public entity and we got to comply with any public records requests that we receive. So we can't be strictly bound by any confidentiality clause. Those were the 3 changes that I had.
Did you communicate that to their attorneys? And
I've just communicated with Joe. I have not negotiated directly with DBT or their lawyers regarding the
It's just been my experience with the municipality that they all throw that language in there, and when you push back, they pretty much get it. We don't
Yeah,
have
I
a
would
lot of
hope so.
problem with it.
I would hope so.
If anybody's wondering, no. So I was going to make a motion that we allow the chairman to renew the contract, subject to the changes suggested by council.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
And the question is, if they reject it, do we have to come back and approve it again? We might.
Yeah, I mean, it would depend on the board's pleasure at that time if they wanted to accept.
Does that put us in any kind of bind at all?
Certainly not as an initial matter, because nothing's gone wrong. I mean, I'm looking at it from a worst-case
Sure.
scenario, which
Okay.
is the phone system goes down and there's some kind of terrible accident as a result of that, and what are the authority's obligations going to be in that event? And if somebody said, I'm suing Fairhope Airport Authority and I'm suing DBT Transportation Services LLC, well, then DBT's going to turn around and say, well, guess what, Airport Authority, you got to defend and indemnify us based on these claims. That's what you want to avoid, if not possible.
And part of that, I have a letter that they actually sent me a letter, put on our letterhead to tell the FAA that they're our company of record, if you mean, to do this, so they would have so the FAA would have somebody to call in case AWAS is out. So I'll put that in the package that we send back. We'll talk about it all, we'll keep it all together.
Okay.
But I need to pay them, so we need to do this week. Send them what our recommended changes, and get it back and say, look, guys, this is what we want to do.
I just need to know who to send it to.
Okay, I'll help you with that.
Is that one of those indemnity agreements that indemnifies them even if it's due to neglect on their part, or one of the indemnified parties? Yeah, scratch it all out.
That is our,
It's a great deal for them.
It really is.
And
And there was a limitation of warranties, it said they're providing the service as is. Well, I mean, that pretty much eliminates any obligation they have.
And the big deal with them is that you call them, even if it's a serious emergency, it's a week getting here. You know what I'm saying? If the thing's out, I mean, it's truly a week. I mean, the sound card's been one thing, but just, we've had the AWAS actually out for
But
3 to
there
4
aren't
days.
any other companies closer?
I don't think so. I think this is a specialty business. I can research it, but,
They're out of Birmingham, right?
no, they're out of
North
Denver.
Carolina.
And the service technician's out of North Carolina. So he's on the road all the time.
I can check with a couple airports that have them and see if they
Why don't
use
we
the
do
same
that?
company,
I think
just
that
out
would
of
be-
curiosity to see if there's
Yeah.
anyone else that
Okay, I mean, that's
is
fine.
in that business.
I mean, they show up at all these trade shows. I mean, they're the only people I've ever seen at a trade show doing AWAS support.
Okay, I'll check with the General Aviation Alliance, several of those managers, and see who they
That'd be good,
use.
and then you and I will get together Thursday or Friday, and we'll see if we can get this, see what the pushback is for them as far as the contract changes.
Sure. I mean, no, we had a motion in a second
Yeah.
to approve this contract if they accept the changes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the guidance
We
from the
need to-
board as of right now is that.
Yeah,
If they don't accept the changes, all bets are off, and I guess we come back and
yeah,
Well, I
discuss
wonder,
it some more.
even if they don't accept the changes, I wonder if we might do significantly better.
I can
Yeah.
find out if the other companies that do it within a few days, if you want to, do we want to just table this till next month, or do we need
yeah,
to?
but what if they don't, I mean,
Well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and pursue the agreement if they're
Yeah.
the only ones that do this. I mean, I can find out in a few days what other airports use.
I think that's a good, and then we'll still pursue that, and we'll know by Friday whether there's, how much
Well-
pushback there is.
We gotta amend that motion then somehow. So we, did we vote yet?
Why don't
Did
we
have discussion or did
authorize
we vote?
Chip, Joe,
Did
and
we vote?
Josh to
Did we
do
vote or did we just have
We haven't
discussion?
voted.
it? We have not voted.
I'm gonna withdraw my motion. Let's talk about it some more.
I would make the motion that we form a committee of you, and you to resolve it.
Okay.
as
We'll just
promptly
do
as
some
possible.
research. If it's a specialty thing and they're the only ones, it's simple. If there's several other operators out there, then,
I already know what our price is, so.
yeah.
if we
You
can
know,
get a better
you've got a
deal-
bill.
If we get a better deal, we can get a better
Yeah.
deal.
And if, I talked to a bunch of airport operators, and that's who they use, and they said, well, there's no one else, and
Yeah, I think.
that
I
makes
think
it
we'll-
simple.
yeah, I'd welcome that.
Okay.
Yeah, let's change, don't call that a committee. They're not a quorum. Why don't you just have,
Informally
ask
do.
them to
Yeah.
look at, informally look at that? It's not
Good
a quorum.
idea.
If you have a committee, you're gonna have to publish, you're gonna have a public meeting for them to talk about it.
Okay.
Y'all
So
do it.
There you go.
So the proposal is to have a group,
Just do some
Proposal
research.
is to have Chip, Joe, and Josh resolve the issue.
resolve the issue about the AWAS and
Okay.
and the
Research
AWAS
if
vendor.
there are
Take care of it,
other-
Josh.
If there are other providers, and if not, to go ahead and
Okay.
conclude the agreement, subject to the provisions we've already talked about that we would like to eliminate.
Okay.
And scratch out that indemnity agreement.
Yes, those,
And they're, probably the indemnity agreement's the biggest hangup, is that fair?
Yeah, the indemnity agreement and their warranty disclaimer are the two things that I really had.
Okay.
That's in every contract I get. Just scratch the whole thing out, because you can't get insurance for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well,
And
anyway.
everybody agrees, then they
Okay,
change the language.
can we have a motion, do I have a second of that motion?
Is that a motion?
No, it was just an agreement.
Okay, all right, then we'll move on.
We might, if you're authorizing them to execute a contract, I think you need a motion to authorize them to execute the contract, so.
Okay,
Is that your motion?
let me restate it.
Sorry.
We will appoint or ask Chip, Joe, and Josh to resolve the AWAS annual contract for service as promptly as possible.
Okay.
And authorize them to execute
And
any
authorize
necessary
them to
documents.
execute the best they can get.
Subject to the provisions that we have discussed here.
We have
Another way to do that, you can also just authorize the chairman to do it, and he can call Chip and the attorney and as he needed to do it.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion as proposed, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Chip, you want to talk about the taxiway and runway?
Talked to Kyle, there are 2 runway lights out. We've switched vendors to do our maintenance. We switched over to Moody's, and that is who Foley and Gulf Shores have used. They've been very happy. So far, we're happy with the level of service that we received. They have fixed, I think, 3 or 4 of the directional signs, but there's still some that are out that are in work in progress.
And we bought a lot of new bulbs, that we've got
Spare bulbs.
supplies in place.
Yeah, so I think Moody's is going to be a good, the last time we had an issue with the Pappy lights, the people we were using were called them a week later and they forgot, and so it was a good time to switch. And so far, I think it'll be an improvement.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Airport managers and Continental Motors Group report. David? Come sit up.
So the sound card you already covered, repair the weather stripping of the T-hangers, it's still in process. The verticals need to be done, the horizontals are done. Repaint, refurbish exterior of the T-hangers, Joe and I had some
One
discussion
T-hanger.
on that.
One T-hanger. Just the one next to the oldest T-hanger.
So, you and I had some discussions on that earlier. The Continental's willing to put in $7,500 to help do that, but we're also putting in $30,000 of lighting in the 2 hangars. So we're kind of cost prohibitive going any higher than that.
Let's talk about that a little bit. So, this is the old hangar, was built in, 1989? The first T-hanger? And
It's
got some-
older than that.
It's got some.
Rust.
Some rust.
Yeah.
My recommendation is that we have it power washed and repainted professionally. And so, and that's in the gray area between maintenance and repair. Our contract with Continental says repairs, not maintenance. If we can get it done for $16,000, that's what I have an estimate for. Continental said they would pay $7,500. I'd like to do that. I think, again, I think that's just something we need to do to keep our facilities in shape.
That sounds like a pretty darn good deal to me, for us, for sure.
Yeah, well, and I'll say that I've looked at the old lease, and this to me, as I read the lease, it falls within a gray area. So it's not clear that it's authority or
That's why I feel
Continental.
if Continental's
And so-
offering up 50% of that cost, I think that's a pretty good deal for us.
Yeah, also with the lighting, the lighting's kind of a gray area too, because if we moved out, the lighting's so
Really
bad, you
interesting.
probably couldn't lease the hangar without doing the lighting. The ballasts are bad, we're upgrading to LEDs, so if we get, whoever moves in would also have the advantage of lower electricity bill. So we do have an ROI calculated like for 7 years on that, but we're doing the north hangar and the other 2 hangars also.
Mr. Chairman, we're good. We got plenty of money for this. I mean,
We actually saved the, just the cameras, the fence line cameras and we're basically, we budgeted $15,000 for that. And our portion is only gonna be $7,500. So we actually are, we actually would be even as far as maintenance. So that's where I'm coming
Sounds
from.
good.
Who do we get a bid from?
A guy named Robert Johnson. I mean, if you've got anybody else, I've got one bid. He's done some power washing and painting for me, and he's pretty good, so. Yeah.
Are we ready to take action? We want to wait for more bids? How soon do we want to undertake this?
Sound like a good price to me. I just wonder who's doing it.
Do you need action, Chairman?
I'd like to move forward with it.
Continental, is it good for you now?
Yeah, we got obviously timing around the weather.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it won't be done. It
It'll
won't
be
be
clear
done.
all week.
It won't be done.
So that's C, that's 11C, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, sorry, Terry Furbis, T-Hangers.
I'm just in a get it done mood today.
Then I can send out an e-blast that all the base customers will get the information that we're gonna work on it.
Well, I think that's good. And the other thing, I'll do E, replacement of skylights in the south hangar.
Do you want a motion?
Yeah, I'm
on this
sorry.
other? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to get ahead of you, but.
Can we have a?
Do you want to, I'll make a motion to authorize the chairman to enter into an agreement with Continental Motors for is this going to be the repainting and refurbishing of the exterior of the T-hangers?
We'll have them sandblasted and repainted.
Okay, so for the refurbishment, i.e. sandblasting and repainting of the T-hangers.
One T-hanger, just.
Okay.
The north
I'm just
one.
reading this as it's
Yeah.
saying here. Of the north T-hanger?
Of the most northern T-hanger, yes, sir.
Okay. Of the most northern T-hanger then, that's my
The one
motion.
just south of Allentown.
Okay.
First.
I think the south ones are okay for now.
Yeah, I think they probably could be clean. I've noticed at the bottom of the hangars
Yeah.
where the water comes off the roof, it's getting, you look at the bottom 2 feet and it's pretty nasty. It's black.
Brown and black.
And the thing
Yeah,
that bothers me
but-
most is when you come in the building where after we've reskinned the building, down there near that may be something for next year to have that power wash too.
Well, talking about on the north hangar,
On the north
road
hangar,
side?
yeah, yeah.
We'll take care of that.
Good.
Okay, so you have a motion, but you don't have a second yet.
So,
We power washed the front and the side. We recently took all those weeds out of there.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, but we do,
If you would power wash that would be great.
Okay,
It just
yeah.
it gives a better first impression.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion?
Any further discussion on the motion to power wash and paint the north hangar, or the northernmost T-hanger?
I got one. I heard say power wash and sandblast. We're not gonna sandblast.
No, we're not gonna say that.
you know, if they need anything, it's gonna be like CO2 or something.
Sandblast, we're not gonna have a door
Yeah.
left on.
Yeah, the door will be gone. Yeah, they might use like either baking soda or CO2 or something, but if they sandblast it, they're just gonna have a hole.
It's not saying, it's just power wash.
We buy some planes on the inside too.
Should we have the
Well, we-
planes moved when they do it?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll take care of that too? All right.
So
Do we have a
call for the vote.
we have a motion. Do I have a second?
We already.
We already
All right.
seconded.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you. Placement of skylights in south hangar.
It's in process. Joe was working on it. The contractor said he was waiting for better weather. I got the link from you today. I'll contact them and follow up on
Yeah,
that.
so we have already committed to do the final 6 skylights in the avionics in south hangar. That just hadn't been done. And the.
And we're replacing that with skin, not a
Yes, yeah, we're
skylight.
not putting
We're
product
not
costs
putting
back in there.
That was a waste of $20,000 by the time you replace. When we put the new roofs on 7 years ago, we should have just gotten away,
Well, I didn't put LED lights
We
in,
should
so it
have
wouldn't work.
That's exactly right, so we didn't do that, so. All right, a final thing is maintenance and upkeep of the backup generator. I think in your package, you had a proposal
In there.
from,
That's the one from Birmingham.
Genco?
yeah, they're actually here. I mean, they got the reps here.
Genco.
okay, they had a Birmingham address on
They have a
there.
Birmingham address, but the guy that I dealt with is here, and he lives in Fairhope. He used to work for the fire department. His original proposal was $850 a year. I asked him to come out 3 times a year and actually check it, not just, I'd feel better if we had quarterly inspections.
Probably make sure it's fueled.
Yeah,
It actually auto starts twice a week.
Yeah.
it does, it does auto start, that's good.
And this is for power outages, is that
Yeah,
right?
for the
It's
runway
only for the
lights.
runway light power outages.
Okay.
Doesn't, I got 2 quick questions. Do you have anyone set, or as far as just doing routine maintenance on the hangar for lubricating the doors or replacing light bulbs, or?
We're actually starting that just
Okay,
now.
I've noticed
Yeah.
that some of the doors are getting pretty difficult to
Yeah.
open on
Yeah,
the,
and a lot of
newer
that's the
hangars.
track and so we actually started on the north hangar on the big doors.
Mhm.
And we're gonna expand to the other hangars. I've got a program where they're cleaning the tracks and then using a dry film lubricant,
Okay.
trying to not make wiping compound on the wheels, you know.
Good. Thanks.
Okay. So I'd like a motion and approval to move forward with that, the generator, or maintenance of the generator.
I make a motion that we go ahead and consummate the contract with Genco to maintain our generator.
Okay. Have a second?
I'll say that and I have a question. Can we add into this that we have an airport authority representative and a continental representative on each of those 4 visits?
Yeah.
So everybody's on the same page and knows it's working, because we're gonna wanna know what's going on if it goes down, and Continental's gonna want power in their building, because it does take some power to their building too.
I think that's a great idea. I
Yeah.
can certainly,
I mean, it doesn't need to be part of the motion, but we need to line it up that they
Let us
coordinate
know.
with whoever those 2 people are.
and then the guy, again, lives locally, and, I think that would be an easy thing to do. Okay? All right, do I
Good
have a-
idea.
All right, we have a motion, do I have a second? I have a second.
Yes,
I
Vince
made the
seconded
motion.
it.
All right, all those in favor of using Genco to maintain our generator, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank y'all. Thank you, Joe. Treasurer's report, Amy had a prior business commitment, so she's not there, but in your package, you have the January and February treasurer's report. Really nothing out of the ordinary there. Only thing I would point out is that our balances, our checking account balances kind of build up during this part of the year. And we've got a big insurance bill to pay, but we're in pretty good shape. And then we're paying out of the PNC account, we're paying our 5% on the FAA contracts, or the AIP contracts. So those balances will go down pretty significantly as we finish the contract.
And the fly-in fuel sales will be reflected in the March
It'll be-
report?
It'll be in
February.
March, yes.
Oh, okay. This is through January.
On the right-hand side.
Well, we have both January and February.
Oh, do we? I didn't see that, okay.
This is, yeah, it'll be in the March.
Joe, what are we getting, just out of curiosity, on the Bryant money market? Do you recall?
41 basis points.
Yeah.
And we have one, the rate cuts off, I think one of them's of $100,000, and it's like 47. The one's under 100,000, it's like 35. What I should do is I should even them up and take money out of one of them, so I get, the same on both of them. One of them, if you remember, is is money we're putting aside to build the general aviation terminal when we have, put $5,000 a month aside for that.
Right. This is good budgeting to be this close,
It's
4 or
the-
5 months into the year.
But the thing is our maintenance. As long as we stay kind of on track on maintenance and maintain that,
Mhm.
kind of keep that number in line, then we should be
So,
okay.
Joe, how has the money market account, the Bryant Bank money market total gone down in the last year?
I took, in September, we had to pay $175,000 principal payment.
I see that.
I took
yeah.
some money out.
Took 20,000 out, looks like.
20,000 out
roughly.
to pay
Yeah,
that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And do you think we'll be building that general aviation terminal in the next 13 months?
I don't know, guys.
I mean, the reason I say that, I mean, it's small, but it's not that small. You can put it in a CD, you can put it in a 1-year CD and get 2.5% right now. You get 5 times, what we're getting.
I will do that. That's a great idea. I mean, we should
We're not gonna need it in 12 months. I mean, you can get it in 11 months.
put $150,000 in a 12-month CD at 2.25%. That's a good idea.
There's an option for that money, if I can go back to the east side for a second. When Joe and I met Hank, something I meant to bring up earlier, and then I'll go back to the money.
Yeah.
We talked about taking the fence that's going to be on the north side of the ramp, running from the entry road to the east, going to 13. We talked about moving it to the north side of the road instead of the south side of the road. And that fixes it where we don't have to have a fence running to a leased hangar, and then a hangar, and then a fence running to a leased hangar. We just moved to the other side of the road. Now, once you get inside the fence, if you're authorized to get inside the fence, you'll be able to go wherever you want to go. But once you got inside your hangar, you could go wherever you want to go anyway. So we did that. So, but at the same time, we were talking about the money and our funding coming up. You know, we could gamble if we.
And it's not as much a gamble as you think, because the appropriation, I mean, I went to that meeting, well, go ahead, I'm sorry. I mean,
Sorry.
it's not much of a
But
gamble.
if, once we get our money appropriated and it's coming, if we wanted to finish the road a little faster with funds in-house and then get reimbursed by the FAA, knowing that money was coming with a small gamble, instead of tying that money up, we could proceed on with that work, just as a thought. But making 5 times the interest on it's also a good deal, and we're only picking up 2 months at best if we did that.
I will bring
I like
back
the
to the
interest
boards,
much better.
I'll bring back to the board some options. One of the options I have too is paying our loan, is at 2.19%, paying off $100,000 of that early. You know, that's saving money too, so, we'll come up with some options to do, something to do that.
I don't want to get ahead, sorry. I'll wait for other business.
Do y'all understand what I was saying about the road though? And it gives us, now once you go in the road and you've leased a piece of property off to your right, if you're heading towards 13, from there to the ramp, that's what you're leasing. And we have our road out here, and then we put our gates where we need them, and we'll eliminate one gate by doing that.
Yeah.
And we can be a little ahead of the curve and actually have some of those T-hangers, actually have T-hanger space a little earlier. One more treasurer thing. We met with the city's accountant, Warren Averett, 2 weeks ago, Amy and I did, and went through all the reconciliations. We have 2 more things we're left to do. These numbers don't reflect the September 30th reconcilements. I mean, there are a couple of adjustments, but we will have those in the March adjustments. But we, basically, we got a clean bill of health, and they blessed everything we had done, and it was a very positive meeting.
Good.
So,
So let me go back, since we are talking about the roads. A week ago, I was in Washington DC, and I spoke to both our senators, and I spoke to them about the need for a road. Now, I didn't know about this other need, but I was talking to them more about the need for a road through our west side property so that we can develop it. I really think that if we had a road through there, I mean, it would just instantly fill. I mean, very quickly. And I believe if and FAA's been extremely supportive of us, but looking to the next project, I think that we need to start thinking about putting that in, or putting a proposal in to have the FAA build the road. They said if Dr. Egerton gets on board with that plan, and we have a great relationship with him, we can get him to sign off on that, and the senators will sign off on that, and we'll write letters of support, and maybe we can get that thing moving. So
That'd be fabulous.
that would be great.
So,
Make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Make a big difference.
so we need to probably start really moving that up the list of things to take a look at.
Timing could be better because we're in the
Right.
process of doing it as we speak.
Right.
Okay. All right. Let's go.
Oh, and while I'm on that, there's an entrepreneur in town. He lives in town. I don't want to say his name in public. I'll tell you privately who it is. I'm going to take him on a tour, much like we did the other gentleman of the west side tomorrow afternoon. Show him around, and he's thinking about maybe, I don't know if he's thinking about relocating his business there, or if he's thinking about, putting, a spec building out there, coming to us and making a proposal to us. But anyway, he's interested, and I'm going to give him a tour tomorrow. And if you want to join me, you're welcome to.
What time?
I didn't want to say that out in public, because
Okay.
I don't want people figuring out who he is.
And that road would help a lot. I mean, that would make that whole thing a lot more compatible. Okay?
That's a good idea.
All right, any other business? Chip? Dr. Egerton's letter?
Yeah.
That's not for discussion.
I think Alan has something that he brought.
Okay, Alex.
I have something, if I can just present to the board here. This just came up this afternoon. I emailed the board before the meeting here, but I got a phone call this afternoon from Mr. Bruce Cool. He used to work for me at Airbus. He is Amy's boss. On the weekend, he's Colonel Bruce Cool, director of the FEMA Zone 4, which includes all of southeastern United States. And he was reviewing the airport, what they call the airport, the FEMA airport assessment list, and he found no airports in southern Alabama on that list. And he wanted to know if Fairhope would be interested in getting on this list. To get on that list, you talk to well, basically what FEMA does, air operations, during an emergency, they use the airport to fly in people and supplies and maybe set up the operations here. And it's not just FEMA, it could be Homeland Security as well, and it doesn't have to be a weather emergency, it could be other events here. And so he said what we need to do, one, notify him, he'll work it from his side, and two, contact the governor's office, the air ops office there, and what FEMA would do would send out an assessment team. Right now, they just finished doing Stennis Airport there in Mississippi, and so once you're assessed, it goes into a database of the capabilities you have, and what you could provide, what the Fairhope area could provide there, and then in time of disaster, they go down the list and, if necessary, use you as possible. So there may be opportunities. I don't know if you have been asked this before or any experience in this before, but there could be some opportunities. Of course, this is during crisis type events here, but to get on, we were unsuccessful getting on the DLA energy list to sell military fuel right now, but to get on a list for FEMA may be helpful.
It's very important to have roads along west sides of your perimeter to accommodate the FEMA request too.
That's true.
That would be
Good idea, good point.
We also need those runways.
Allegedly.
too,
But
we
then
need
they
another
FEMA
portion of
road.
asphalt to strengthen those runways.
Al, are there aircraft limitations? So is there gonna be like a C-1 35 requirement, or?
I don't know. I think this is what FEMA would come in and look at as far as your capability, your capabilities, your fuel services, your runway capabilities, your available hangars and stuff like that. And then they would put into their database what airplanes could come in, how many people, how many.
It would be
how many
valuable to
supplies.
have such an assessment of the airport.
Be good.
We have a structure there, we have a command center.
Yeah. All right, that's
I like
right.
that idea.
I like
do
it.
too. That's when when the local people came to us, I think as much use out of the airport we can get, for things like disasters, I think it's a good thing. It gives us a little bit more, puts us a little bit more in the game.
Yeah, I
Not to be
think that we have, I
selfish,
think
if
we have
a
some,
hurricane
some,
here, we'd like to have an emergency center
oh,
real
yeah.
close.
And we're not right on the Gulf.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you need to be away. We have the whole east side that's not gonna be built out yet, but we're gonna have, pads,
Staging
staging
areas.
areas.
That's right.
Huge staging area there on the east side.
So, if you'll
interested?
make an introduction, that would be great. I'll make a phone call.
Okay, if you don't mind me, I will look for and contact the governor's office there to find out who the air operations office is. If you know who it is, let me know. And I'll also tell Colonel Cool on that side,
Colonel Cool.
Colonel Cool,
Cool.
to work that. So,
That's great, yeah.
okay, and I'll get as I get more information, I'll send it to the board.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good opportunity.
That's definitely something that our senators need to be aware of,
Yeah.
seriously,
Any other business from the board?
potentially.
I've got one thing, and those of you who were able to check your emails this afternoon got an email from me talking about the appearance of the road as you enter the airport. The first segment of the road into the airport is fine, but once you pass the academy we get down into a real unsightly area of the road leading to the FBO. It's been bothering me since long before I joined the airport authority. And I think we could fix it fairly easily. This is the picture I sent this afternoon. It's just a eyesore-looking segment of the road that goes to the FBO. And I was thinking we could just get maybe some proposals to put some low-maintenance shrubs along the east side of that first Continental hangar. I believe that's probably our responsibility and not Continental's.
Actually, we're in the process of cleaning that up. It's a little in digress. The road itself does need some work, but landscaping or whatever, I would consider as a joint venture. If
Okay,
anything, but
good.
it's, you know, that's what I was telling Joe, we're gonna pressure wash that side of the building. And the grass and everything. That used to be all wiry brush and
rattlesnakes
stuff,
in it.
you know, whatever. We took all that down probably about 4 months ago.
Yeah, I remember that. It's just an unsightly stretch there until you get to those bushes
Yeah, we
near
got
the
that
FBO.
pothole right about right here. That's not.
Yeah.
Jack had the potholes replaced,
Yeah.
repaired.
The potholes by the entrance have been repaired.
Okay. Now, I mean,
Good idea.
this is something we can talk about. Okay,
I
thank
would
you.
just like a sense of the board as to whether we might want to get some quotes from landscapers as to generally what it might cost.
I think the first thing is to power wash it,
Well, yeah, that's a given,
yeah.
but that's not going to help the
One
grass.
of our advisory pool members was willing to get some quotes, so that's David Keller. I'll speak to him and ask him about that.
Okay.
Okay, anything else from the board? Anybody wants to speak from the audience?
I'd
Harlan?
like to revisit the main.
Sure.
Just trying to clarify and try to picture in my head what you've got going on the east side there, so we know what we're looking at. We're talking a separate fuel farm and trucks from, who's gonna operate those trucks to and from the hangar?
Whoever owns a fuel farm.
The individual hangar owners or someone else?
I mean, initial plans, we had it set where there was gonna be a fuel farm up on the ramp, but that would have been a congestion problem. You pull up your airplane, someone pulls up, and then we also decided it would be the first thing you'd see before you saw the general aviation terminal, so it would be kind of unsightly. So the plan was to move it over on the east side. I mean, all this can be changed, I guess, but just to cluster the fuel farm, so individual
I'm just
operators
curious,
would probably
Who's
have
responsible for the truck? The hangar keeper or?
the hangar, whoever owns a fuel farm that would
Okay,
own the hangar.
so we'd have to get a farm and a truck and a. And that won't apply on the west side, correct?
Well, I mean,
We
we've
say
never.
We don't want to have a truck on the west side?
mean-
I mean, no one's ever mentioned it or brought it up before, so, but it'd have to be a discussion item, but, I mean, I don't think we want to start allowing everyone to have their own truck, then I'll say, well, I'll just pull a tank behind my truck out there and fill my own airplane, and then you have a dozen trucks out there, so I think that would be something we would want to discourage.
Would the board consider allowing someone to build the hangar on the west side and be part of the fuel farm on the east side and get that fuel and tanker it in the truck?
Well, I mean,
On the east.
I think the plan is whoever builds a hangar has the option to get a fuel farm, but I think there is a size, there's a size requirement for the hangar to,
We've
in
also,
order for you to buy a
Limited
fuel
number,
farm,
too,
build a
there's a
fuel farm.
limited number, and we've advertised it in such a way that if somebody builds a hangar of a certain size on the east side, they would have that option to
I'm just
have
curious,
a
does
fuel
that apply
farm.
if you build
So
the same size hangar on the west side?
I don't think there's any.
No,
There's not room enough to build a hangar that size on the west side.
I mean, what's available now, unless we start developing property down at the southwest end of the airport? I mean, then, that would be, that'd be not something we'd have to discuss, but, I mean, with the existing spot, the only spot I really know, besides talking to Don about the T hangars, is, next to the public safety hangar, but, if we ever started building hangars down, further down towards the approach into runway 1, just the west of there, then it'd have to be something we'd have to discuss, because I think it would be a viable option just because of the way it's located, and so.
What kind of timetable are you looking at for the construction of the cluster farm on that side?
It depends on who, if someone
Well,
puts in a
I
lease
mean,
to build a hangar and
The
then they
road won't be
opt for it.
extended until probably
This time next year.
this time next year.
So 12 to 18 months, reasonable.
Probably
12, 13 months. If we get our funding, that should be.
We get our
good.
funding, I mean, we'll know in July whether we get funding for the road extension that goes in front of the fuel farm at that point in time. And then we'll have to design a fuel farm, and we have to figure out, it's gonna have to have a containment vessel so that you can drive a truck on it. And then somebody's gonna have to, those fuel facilities themselves are pretty expensive. So, I mean, then somebody have to commit to do that too. I don't think Continental's gonna move your fuel facility over there.
No, if anything, we would just replace the tanks on the one we had.
Well, we would like for you to move over there. I mean, I had that conversation. We would like for you to move
Yeah.
over there and move and vacate that.
Just shut that one down.
And remove it. I mean, we reserved you 2 spots on that side.
But
I disagree with that.
I thought those 2 spots were reserved for whoever will be the fuel
And two-
provider,
yeah, but I mean,
but we
yeah,
don't,
okay,
that's not
yeah.
a given yet. So we don't know
Yeah.
how we're going to,
I don't think we're
Do these
requesting
things.
Continental to shut down one side, go the other. If we are, I'm
No.
not aware of that.
No, they're
I
not.
wasn't aware of that
misspoke,
either.
but we're requesting is if you build it, I mean, I was told that your fuel farm was at the end of its life.
It's ending, it's near the end of its life. It's not at the end of its life. It's gray, but it's not done.
It's not
it's
on
not
life
toast,
support
but it's
yet.
close.
Right.
Harlan, you want to say anything?
Yeah, hey Joe. I just had a quick question about the existing pad, or the pads that are being constructed right now, and the current plan, the call for bids that has all the individual hangars with a few varying pad sizes. If there had been any contemplation or discussion about a section of that being available for condo hangars, where you could, as a tenant, reduce your overall construction cost by conjoining a few of those together, and maybe as an airport authority, you can pick up some additional density of aircraft in those hangars. But I think it makes, my limited research, it does seem to make a big difference on the cost side. And I know it's not set up that way now. I just didn't know if it had been looked at or if it was a possibility or not.
I mean, are you talking about, I'm aware of one up in Birmingham that they've got several large corporations have gone into a condo hangar, but it's one big hangar. They store their airplanes in there, then they have their separate office spaces. Is that what you're talking about, or are you talking?
Yeah, it could be depending on what 2 adjacent tenants might want, but I'm envisioning walls in between, so you really do have your private hangar, but they're all attached instead of detached. And if you went in, you had bifold doors on the front, maybe they're 60 feet or whatever the right dimensions are. But my friend Jacob, who was here earlier, who's in the construction business, has done a little bit of research into the construction costs of the individual hangar versus the conjoined, and it is substantially cheaper, I believe, to go conjoined. And I'm just trying to explore the lowest cost option to potentially have a hangar on that side, and this was one path, so.
I think that's, if you have 2 people that want to build a large hangar, but they want to put, I had one like this, and they put a non-load bearing wall in the middle, just so you have your separate space, and they have their separate space, and you have 2
And the door
doors.
would, I don't.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I think you could probably do that. The airport authority would have a lease with whatever the condo
Yeah.
association is.
Yeah.
You're right.
I mean, we're just leasing ground. I mean, we.
Yeah, I wouldn't think he would care either way. as long as-
Yeah, whether it's a business entity, it'd be whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so again.
Subject to all the other building code, right?
Would that building have to be,
And-
that wall wouldn't have to be structural? it'd have to be loaded, or would have to be a firewall?
It did say
Probably,
that
but
whatever proposal would have
Have
to
to go
pass
through
the,
Just
City
whatever the
building
building
requirements.
codes, yeah.
Including the
fire code.
But I think we'd have to check, but I think the firewalls are the external walls.
External
I'm just
wall.
talking about
Right.
if you build a 100 by 100 hangar and just put a non-load bearing wall down the middle, and, everyone has, it has their own door, but it's, I don't think it would have to be firewall. Well, we'd have to find out.
But
Just
anyway, I
just
think that
speaking
would
as
be
a voice of
fine.
one, sound like a great idea to me, but then you get into city requirements, as long as it meets those. Of course, you know, when you go over 10,000 feet, you got a sprinkler and all that,
Right.
so.
It's when it gets expensive.
Any other comment? Okay. Seeing no comments, so we'll.
Joe, I want to go back
Okay.
1 second. I'm not against Continental, but I'm not for, this is again a committee of one saying, we want Continental to go to the other side. We want whoever wants to go over there that wants to bid on it and build a nicest terminal, et cetera, in my opinion.
No, I think,
But I don't think I know I am not promoting Continental to go to the other side or stay on this side. But it'd be they can do whatever they want when we decide whether we want to build one ourselves or bid the land and let folks bid to build it. But I personally am not hoping they shut down here and go over there.
so we're talking about the fuel farm.
I'm talking about the FBO.
Okay. And I call that the General Aviation Terminal, but I think we're talking about the same thing. And I mean, when we get to that point next year, this time, we'll have to decide how we're gonna build the General Aviation Terminal and, and who's gonna build it.
Yeah, and I think Vince's whole purpose of saying that is that might be your opinion, but it wasn't reflected,
Okay.
a reflection necessarily of the board.
Okay.
Nor has it really been
Discussed.
Right.
Yeah, and when I say, I don't use the term FBO, I use the term General Aviation, because I'm not sure who's gonna manage that. I mean, that's the issue.
But they're one and the same.
Okay.
Not against Continental either. I mean,
No, that's,
all for
no.
Continental. That's like, they're gonna be here another 20-something years, we know. So
19 years.
definitely not against them.
Yeah.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
It's always in order. Thank y'all.
All right.